So I'm going to proceed with our schedule, asking one of our two top speakers this morning to join me on the podium for his keynote speech. Please welcome Maximo Ibarra, CEO of Engineering. So Maximo, Engineering calls itself the digital transformation company. Can you explain to us what does this mean and how you're going to achieve this goal?
Very
good.
The
floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Good morning to everyone, and good morning to all our friends, authorities in United Arab Emirates. This is really a pleasure, and thanks very much, Giordano. I mean, you're making all this possible. I think it's a great initiative. Thanks very much. Engineering. Yes, I mean, we are defining ourselves a digital transformation company because this is exactly what we do in our daily business life. And we are becoming a digital technology company. What does it mean? It means that we are supporting, as our main mission, we are supporting the most important large enterprises worldwide, because we have 60 offices worldwide, to make sure that they can address their journey to the digital business transformation. Again, it's about digital and business transformation at the same time, not because it has only an economical purpose, an economical goal, but because it has also a social responsible goal. And the intent is to make sure that this can happen, again, in the most efficient way.
And modern technology at work. So we'll give this a couple of seconds. If not, we'll go into our portion of the events as...
What do I do?
There was a connection between us and Dubai, but please go on.
Okay, so I will continue.
It was just a technical glitch.
Very good. Yeah, so this mission of being the digital transformation company is also important because if we take into consideration the current context of the economy, and if we take, for example, Italy has been growing more than 6%, so it's a remarkable growth in 2021. And this growth will continue, I mean, despite the context. And it will continue also because of the support of the PNRR, which is the EU Recovery Fund for Italy, that will, of course, determine a spectacular advancement in all technologies, but at the same time, just making sure that all the different industries will get the opportunity of managing the right transition, again, when it comes to technology, digital, but also the energy transition. And how are we going to make sure that, as engineering, this will happen? We are taking into consideration 4 pillars. The first one, of course, is digital. The second is technology excellence. The third one is about talent recruiting. We know that there is an emergency, there is a high demand for talents. And the number 4, which is the last but not the least, is how can we cope with the right and the racing needs in terms of the ESGs? How can we become a champion in the ESGs? So let's start with the first one, digital. Last year, I was involved in the B20 that was organized in Italy, and I was chairing the Digital Transformation Task Force. And one of the first things that came, and that was quite urgent, is that, yes, of course, there is a transition into digital, but there are lots of emergencies and critical points that we need to address. And the first one is that we are in a digital divide kind of framework. We know that in 2020, this year, approximately 60% of the economy, 60% of the economy will be driven by digitalization. But in this framework, we also know that 43% of the population, 43% of the population in Western Europe, they don't have the right skills to deal with digital services. And again, this is not only about managing social networks, but this is about how can I manage digital in the workplace, in training, education, and I mean, in terms of, I mean, the social services and the digital identity services that are, I mean, getting more and more ground in the world. So in order to cope with this, I mean, we have to take care of infrastructure, of course, but at the same time, we need to understand that we have also to manage a second point, which is trust in digital. Trust means that we need to increase the awareness of digital as a driver, again, of economic growth, but at the same time, a driver of social growth. And to make sure that this happens is about telling the story. It's about saying what are the advantages that you can get with digitalization in a responsible way. And this is where we are now in this moment, pretty much involved, in just to make sure that all the hundreds of large enterprises we have as customers, but also the thousands of customers we have around the world, they are able to understand that. And the third point is about the mismatch between the demand and the offer of, skills. And this is not an easy, this will not have an easy solution, but we are working on that as engineering in a heavy way. We are, for example, a company that is addressing, this since, quite a number of years. And we have a campus. We have a real campus. It's not just simply an academy. That is a campus of IT services, of course, but at the same time, technology, but also managerial skills. And in parallel, we are contributing to a lot of research and in innovation in Europe in particular, with approximately 100 projects. We have 400 researchers. And all this is feeding up the process of increasing the capabilities that we can teach and share thanks to our campus. So putting these two things together, of course, we are becoming more and more a company that is trying to increasing not only the skills of the people that are working currently in engineering and in order to attract the talents, but also to make sure that all our companies will be exactly in the same framework. The second point, the second pillar, is the one about technology excellence. We are investing hugely in proprietary solutions, proprietary products, in particular in 3 out of the 21 markets that we're addressing. These are energy utilities, healthcare that is becoming, one very important thing in our economies, and the third one is on finance. But of course, we have proprietary solutions also on different other domains. And on top of that, we are also growing inorganically. So we are increasing our skills, our competencies in all the different technologies through M&A. So recently we acquired or finalized the acquisition of a company that is working a lot in the cyber security space, as well as another company that is working on industry automation, digital track and trace. This company is Mobilitas, and it's very important so in this period because it's managing digital track and tracing in particular for the pharma industry, and many more, right? So in finance, and again, many more is coming. Just for the reason of not only growing in terms of business, but also growing in terms of competencies that we can share with our customers. So this is also relevant not only in the areas that I mentioned, but also is relevant, for example, in the transportation and in mobility. We have plenty of initiatives there. Initiatives that are getting into how can we increase the efficiency of railways, how can we increase the efficiency of highways through technologies like digital twin, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, as well as, for example, in mobility and in other areas that are important for municipalities to make sure that we can also support institutions and public administration to become more efficient and more sustainable. So we have plenty of initiatives, for example, in some municipalities like Pisa. We are working with the officers there just to make sure that we can have a very efficient mobility kind of ecosystem. As well as, for example, in Sicily, we have an important initiative for smart lighting, or in Germany for parking systems. So these are all initiatives. I can mention many more of them. I think that some of you are also working in this space. But it's important because it's not only just growing in terms of business and just only supporting the public administration and companies in becoming more and more efficient, but at the same time to becoming really impactful in terms of the social environment. The third aspect is about the talent recruiting. How can we become really attractive for talents? You know very well, because I think that you are all facing the same emergency. And I'm calling it an emergency for the simple reason that there is a lack of the real skills. And the new generations, the young people, the youngsters, they are looking at something that is completely different. So our generations are more used to be linear. These generations are becoming completely different. And it's not only about pretending to have a relationship with an employer that has a clear view in terms of purpose, but it's also in terms of how smart is the workplace, how responsible is the workplace, how can you have the right combination between your own life and the work life, so the work-life balance. These are extremely important to understand, because if we start addressing this issue in the same way we have been addressing this issue in the last years, we will never get to anywhere. So we have a plan, as many other companies. I think that all the companies are on the same floor in this moment. We have a plan to recruit approximately 1,000 people, 1,000 new people in the company, because, I mean, it's, again, not only the business that is growing, but also we need the skills. But of course, if we are not able to get the people with STEM skills, we are getting people also with skills that are different, because we understood very well that in order to understand where we are and how can we have an impact in this world, because again, this is the high priority, we'll also have the need, the big need, to bring on people that have also some humanistic skills, so STEM and humanistic skills. And at the same time, we have to be more inclusive. So if we take, for example, the IT space, the technology space, we have only, in terms of gender diversity, we have only 27% of female population, which is very, very little compared to other industries. And in our company, we are, of course, above 30%, but I think that we have to get into approximately 40% very soon. And it's not just because we need to address this point, but it's because we have to be like that. It's just a matter of a must, right? So it's not just simply one thing that we need to accomplish. So this is about talent recruiting. And the last one, as I mentioned, is not the least, is all the impact and all the support and all the efforts that we, in the moment, we're doing in terms of the sustainable initiatives. Some of these initiatives I already mentioned. I mean, all these initiatives in the municipalities to make sure that our clients can become more, again, efficient, more intelligent, smarter in terms of the way they address technology to become more sustainable. But also, I mean, the initiatives that we are all addressing, right, with different degrees of effectiveness, but I think that we are extremely committed in becoming an ESG champion very soon, because we have the responsibility of dealing with lots of companies, and those companies are having a very important impact in the economy, not only the economy of Italy, but also the economy worldwide. So again, decarbonization has been mentioned. I don't want to elaborate too much on that, but this is exactly what we are doing, not only addressing what we do, but also addressing what our suppliers are doing and trying to expand the kind of activities that we're doing in Italy to the whole geo-footprint, so all the other subsidiaries we have around the globe, to have exactly the same plan, to implement the plan in the same way. We have these important actions in terms of the D&I. So we have a D&I function, department in the company to address that. We need to be over the corner. I mean, we need to be much, much better than any other company, because we are the ones that we're dealing with other companies, as I said earlier. And of course, I mean, other initiatives in this space, like, for example, having the possibility to have our data centers very efficient in terms of energy savings, and many more. But again, our business is about people. We have to make sure that our people are sufficiently social responsible, that they understand what is the responsibility we have, the social responsibility, the governance responsibility, political responsibility, because all the things are the things that we are doing every time we implement technologies for our customers. And the last point I want to mention is that when we act with our company's clients, the idea is not that we just supply services, right? Is that we share ecosystems. And ecosystem is not just a buzzword. It's just the effort of taking pieces of our technology, of our property platforms and solutions, take also on board and bring on board pieces and technologies of third parties, because it's a matter of collaboration. It's an expanded collaboration, trying to get the experience that we have already been doing in some of the 21 markets we are operating in, and putting all the things together just to make sure that when we address one solution in one sector, we are able to address the same solution in a second sector because now we understand the ecosystem, the way it works. And this is very efficient, and at the same time, very, very, effective in the way we can really spread this message, across the board. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you, Maximo. Please stay with us on stage. And I also call Giordano Fatali, CEO and the founder of CEOforLIFE, for the award. And I want to read it properly. I don't want to miss anything of the reason of your award. So you are nominated CEOforLIFE Ambassador for your commitment to the promotion and development of projects aimed at generating a positive impact on the environment and society.
So, thank you very much.
We should have the prize. Here it comes.